Alright, you're looking at Tanglin Halt 10-story. Alright, so this is one of the oldest HDB estates here in Singapore, and I thought many things have changed here in the last few months, and now I was thinking if I don't do this video, then very soon all these things would have changed and I will not have the chance to show you what's happening in this estate. Alright, so you're looking at the area where the hawker center once was. Okay, so we used to have a hawker center over here. Alright, so this shot will give you a better idea of what I was talking about. You are looking at the empty plot of space where there used to be a hawker center. For those of you who are very familiar with this place, maybe you grew up here, you used to stay here, you used to live here. Alright, so there used to be this hawker center in this area, and there were 3 separate buildings, and there were some lower buildings over here. I think those were block 46 or block 47. We had the police post somewhere here. Alright, incidentally, the police post was still around last week. Alright, so at the same time last week, bits and parts of the police post were still here. And then a few days back I realized everything was flattened, so I thought, I wanted to just show you this video of what's happening here and what's developing here. So for those of you who are not familiar with this place is called Tanglin Halt 10 Stories because of all these flats you're looking at. So we've got the cluster of flats here, the cluster here, and here as well, to the right, okay? And these blocks, alright, these apartment blocks or blocks of flats, depending on where you're from. If you're from UK, Australia, New Zealand, you probably know what I'm talking about. We refer to these apartments as flats, blocks of flats, but if you're from Europe or USA, then you probably know them as apartments. So these blocks of apartments or flats, they are collectively built to 10 stories high, hence the name Tanglin Halt 10 Stories. So this place was built in the 60s, I think 1965 or 64. Alright, no confirmation on that. And the older people will be very familiar with the name here, Tanglin Halt Zap Lao, which literally translates to Tanglin Halt 10 Stories. And in Mandarin, in Chinese, it's known as Tanglin Halt 10 楼. Okay, so if you take a taxi and all that, the older taxi drivers will know what you're talking about. Okay, Tanglin Halt Zap Lao, Tanglin Halt 10楼. But these days, we know this place as the actual road name here. Tanglin Halt Road is actually this small little road here. Very short stretch of road. The other road over there on the further side is known as Commonwealth Drive. So in actual fact, in actuality, Tanglin Halt Road is a very short and small road, and it is characterized by these blocks of 10-story apartments, hence the name Tanglin Halt 10 Story. So I guess for those of you who used to live here or are very familiar with this place, maybe your grandma or your parents used to live here and all that, give a shout out in the comment section below. Alright, I see if it's worth my time to film more of such videos, because I intend to go for a walkabout in the estate and probably show you what's happening here. So since December last year, right, these blocks of flats, they have been emptied. Okay, so this cluster here to my left starts from block 24 to block 32, and they have been emptied since last December. Many people have moved out. Everyone has moved out. The blocks are sort of, totally deserted. Powers off, no lights at night, and the lifts are off. Staircase landings are blocked off and all that. So this middle cluster here, I think it goes from 37 to 45. Alright, and the ones to my right, if I'm not wrong, they start from 58 to 66. So if I pan the camera this way, you are looking at another cluster here. Alright, and to the right here, at this empty plot of land, used to be block 76, if I'm not wrong, 77, 76, and they have been demolished and flattened since 15 years ago, I think. And this plot of land here has been left empty and open for a long time. I believe we're definitely going to build some kind of condominium or new HDB flats here. Alright, and over here where my finger is pointing, alright, you're looking at some very lower blocks here. I think these blocks are being conserved now, okay? So I think this place has a really good mix of new buildings as well as conserved buildings. And to my right here, you're looking at the wet market, which is still in service, all right? That is, the wet market is still working, still operating, and you can still have your meals here at the wet market and the hawker centers here. And this is where we have the famous wonton noodles and all the economy fried bee hoon stuff and all that. So if you're hearing all the construction noise as I'm talking, is because this is very much the soundtrack every day from my home, all right? I'm broadcasting from block 90 Tanglin Halt Road, which is a newer block, no longer 10 stories. This is indeed a 40 stories kind of block, and every day when I look down, many things would change, okay? So for example, today, let me just get the camera adjusted very slightly, okay? Don't mind the sudden shaky movements. Okay, so every day there will be changes. Like I said the other day, the police post, half of it was still here and all that, but right now only the trees remain and the whole place is being flattened. So I talked to the people from the hawker center over here to my right. They were saying the old hawker center is going to be refurbished and renovated and all that, but I think the information given is untrue, all right? So it does look like everything is going to be demolished and flattened, and I don't know what's going to be built here. Maybe it's a new condo or a new block of flats or something like that. Okay, so this place used to be an open space car park, which sits about 3 or 4 rows of car park space. At the back over here, this is where the hawker center used to sit. So I've just zoomed in the lens a little bit. So this is block 64, right? The block facing me, and I used to live here until I was in my 30s. All right, unfortunately, I stayed with my folks until I was in my 30s, and this is block 64. So I moved in here when I was 6, and I think in my 30s I moved out to Bukit Batok. And back to this angle over here, I'd like to share with you that my story with Tanglin Halt didn't start when I was 6 years old. All right, so earlier on, I started coming here very frequently because of my grandmother. Okay, so when my parents went to work, they would bring me to my grandma's house, which was in block 43. I think the 3rd block that is facing me now. So she was my caregiver until I was about 10 years old, I think. All right, so very special place for me. I've known this place since I was a very young kid. All right, and I've got relatives, family members who used to live in these blocks. Okay, so used to have an uncle who lived in block 24. I think this is the first block furthest away from me, and my auntie who used to live in block 27. Okay, so a few blocks down here, 27. All right, so long history with this area, and I thought it's a very special place for me, and if I don't capture the look of it now, I don't know what's happening in the next few years. All right, so these blocks may be torn down and something new will be built, and the whole looks and feel of this place will be very, very different. So back to the hawker center, that was the first thing that I mentioned to you in this video. Okay, so like I said, if you're familiar with this place, if you used to grow up here, you used to stay here, this hawker center I think will be famous for food like the cheng tng, and besides that we also have a few other pretty famous stalls as well. We had 1 or 2 Western food stalls. We also had Queenstown Lontong, okay, which faces block 64, Queenstown Lontong, and also in more recent years, I think the past 20 years. So you have to understand that this place is so old that anything that is 20 years is actually recent, okay? This place started in the 60s, and 20 years ago, I think there was this Lei Cha Fan, some kind of thunder tea, Hakka rice. Alright, so these stalls, alright, the majority of these stalls, the bulk of these stalls, they have since moved on to the new hawker center in Margaret Drive. Alright, so I'm not too sure if I want to do a video on that, but if there's any interest in that, do put your comments down in the section below, and I see if I am able to do such a video. So I've just moved to another room in my home, and this angle here will give you a different look. We are looking at block 32. Alright, so I've mentioned that this block is already sort of emptied out and more or less deserted and all that. So at night it's going to be darkness and all that. And to the bottom left here, you see this one here, Newtown Primary School. And incidentally, this school is sitting on the plot of land that used to be my school, okay? My school used to be Tanglin Primary School, and it is sitting at the exact plot of land. And my home now, block 90, block 89, block 91, sits on a plot of land that used to be Tanglin Tech Secondary School. Alright, so it's a long time ago, right? So these places, only people who are about 50 years old would know what I'm talking about, okay? So if you know Tanglin Tech, that used to be near Commonwealth MRT, you are definitely of a certain age. Okay, so this one here is a new building. Alright, Newtown Primary School, if I'm not wrong, was completed sometime in late noughties. I think 2008, 2009, they completed building at the school. So prior to that, it was known as Tanglin Primary School, which is a really old school kind of school, okay? I used to attend this school when I was a small little boy, 7 years old to age 12 years old. So again, if any one of you viewers out there, you are from Tanglin Primary School, do give me a shout out in the comment section below. Say hi to me, say hi to your old friends, you never know, alright? This could be the start of something exciting. So here's one final look at the estate, alright, before I wrap up this video, okay? So I think if the reception to these videos are good, I may continue to do some more filming and probably bring you on a walkabout in this abandoned estate, okay? So it's ironic, so where I'm broadcasting from, where I'm shooting from, we've got 3 blocks of 40-story flats, so not quite deserted. We've got a really nice 24-hour supermarket and all that. But where you're looking at, what you're looking at is indeed, you know, plot of land waiting to be developed. Okay, I have no official information of what's going to happen to this plot of land, okay? Can't be bothered to ask the authorities and all that. Meanwhile, just have a look at this estate in this state, alright? Don't know how long it will be before they will start to tear down these blocks, okay? Could be a matter of time, okay? Once the hawker center is taken care of, maybe they will start to tear down this cluster of flats and all that, alright? We'll see what happens by then, alright? So I'll see you soon, alright? Bye bye.